Yeah.
Okay.
To what extent, is there a particular point that you see for the essential, or maybe you don't see this, do you think that the anarchist movement today in the United States is a viable movement? And if not, when would you situate the disintegration of the anarchist movement as a genuine movement?
I actually have problems with this myself. In that, I obviously am an anarchist. I do believe in that. The thing is that anarchism with socialism, with communism, I guess, anarchism and communism, the way that I see it is that you have two basically political schemes that you can avow with socialism. So you have anarchism, with its no state, and you have socialism or communism, which is state power. The anarchist movement in America, currently, I mean, it's just individual selves. It's individual people advocating liberty. It's people talking to their friends saying, hey, is this really First Amendment rights that we have? Do we actually have full rights to bear arms? And so it's more of a, like communism, or not communism, but it's more of a thoughtful revolution in that most anarchists believe that you need to raise the conscience of the people to understand that this isn't real true freedom. That what true freedom is that there is no man above another man. So the anarchist movement in America, I honestly don't really know. I mean, I think that it's really getting like-minded anarchists or like-minded socialists even together to discuss ideas, to get this across to more people, passing out flyers, doing pamphlets, anything like this, doing lectures like that, to profess anarchism, because anarchism is based on reason. It's based on logic. Because the logic of having no man over another man is pretty straightforward, you know? That's ultimate freedom and ultimate liberty. So that's why. So yeah.
Well, I would just say, I mean, the reason I asked if you knew of any movements in the U.S. at this time that are actually actively trying to work for this sort of socialist anarchist coalition with the working class, I genuinely actually don't see it. And to be fair, there's actually not a left movement, a genuine viable leftist movement in the United States that's working towards any type of legitimate social change. I mean, most of the, as I see most of the anarchists, it's basically lumpen proletariat on steroids, which is to say a bunch of kids who shoplift a bunch, squat in punk houses, and pretend to actually care about anything. And so, I guess I would just restate, do you actually see that there is this sort of movement that you're actually idealizing in the U.S. at the moment?
Well, I do think so, because I mean, you see it in the Libertarian Party, at least strains of anarchism. The Libertarian Party, as far as I know, is the closest political party that would advocate that. Less government, and still socially conscious. But an actual anarchist movement I really don't think so. But what I would say to response to these, the kids, the punks or whatever that squat in houses, shoplift a ton, whatnot, that's not anarchism. That's not advocating actual freedom. Because you're still in society. You're still with another man. You still have social relations with another man, with another person. And so this advocation of shoplifting or squats is still, it's invading the rights of another man. And so that's why it's just wrong. I think that actual anarchists would believe in that the law I would say that actual at least my idea is that honest and good people are still going to be honest and good people without law. Honest and good people are not going to go and just steal from their neighbor exactly what they want, what they need. They would actually just do enough work to provide for their needs. And so I guess in the case of squats, in the case of squatting and shoplifting, they weren't really working for their needs. And so that's the reason why. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
you
okay.
can-
So, I mean, generally, I mean, I used to follow an anarchist line. I used to be out of the proletariat myself. But what I would actually say in response to that on behalf of those anarchists, one, no anarchist I know genuinely respects property rights.
Yeah.
Especially since it takes the state to actually coercively enforce those property rights, and those property rights and themselves are up to legitimate question. So nobody's going to be like, hey, what we should really do is respect Walmart's property.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Okay.
And I would actually even pose this question to you. What role do you think the Constitution actually plays in anarchist thought theory? Because you make these allusions to, oh, well, is the Constitution really working for us, the people? And is it something worth preserving? Or does it just need a proper enforcement of those rights for the people?
I don't think that the Constitution, though, is enough. It's not absolute true freedom, because someone has to tell you exactly what everyone else's rights are. Why is that? So, I mean, at least I wouldn't. It's just the Constitution is what we have, and so it's that's the easiest way to at least to show how far off we are from actual democracy, and how wrong it is even in the basis of that. In that there has to be a creation of a law saying, that we can bear or bear arms. Why is that? I mean, it would be common sense that we should be able to, because it's our own right to choose whether we want to have a gun or not. So, yeah, Greg.
Actually, I want to clarify Chris's question, and this is also sort of my question. At the turn of the century, last century, not this century, right? Anarchists were, there were thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in the IWW. There were numerous self-identifying anarchists. They managed to shoot McKinley. Right? Okay, and so in this case, right, that's a pretty wide social movement, right? When you've got, an active, huge union, you've got, political actions, anarchist political actions happening all around. And it seems like that doesn't correspond here, right? As a Marxist-Leninist, I can tell you where exactly Marxist-Leninism ceased to be a viable movement. It ceased being a viable movement when in the 30s, when it alternated on the question of fascism to become a tool for Soviet foreign policy. And then it also became, and so that was the initial decline. And then, right, there was a huge decline in the 60s when all the Marxist, Leninist, new left parties were completely unable to organize the working class in any fashion. Which is why, for example, I would say now, today, right, there's no viable Marxist-Leninist movement in the United States. Do you think that there's a similar situation for anarchism, that it is, right? Because I mean, that's a big difference going from the IWW and assassinating the president to putting crime think stickers on, recruiting posters.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's the question I'm asking, and I think Chris was asking as well.